Everything I love you. You feel me? I love you. Seatbelt off. I love y'all.
On the afternoon of June 20th, 2019, a young woman screamed for help in a convenience store, alerting the staff and customers that the man with her was her kidnapper who had just murdered her family, and she was next. This young woman was 22-year-old Cressida Williams, and this man was her ex-boyfriend who had decided to punish her for leaving him in the most cruel way possible. He chose to brutally take the life of her 68-year-old grandmother and her 9-year-old younger brother in a horrifying scene that he had set up for Cressida to find. But when things got heated, he ran. Refusing to turn himself in for his crimes, he would end up leading the police to launch an intense high-speed chase streamed live on Facebook, leaving the world intrigued about who he could be. The heartlessness of his crimes prompted an in-depth police investigation that quickly revealed a sick history of abuse, drugs, and bloodshed leading up to this fateful incident. This is the life and death of Jennifer Vassell and Ishan Mathlin.
I really love you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I ever did to you, Emma. I'm sorry. I hope this was a lesson to you, bro. Like, make sure the next one just steer straight. Just don't wild out. You feel me? I love you, though. These whole damn love you. No, I really do love you, though. I got my love for you.
This gripping tragedy unfolds in the city of Willingboro, New Jersey. It is a quiet, suburban township tucked into Burlington County, originally developed as a planned community in the post-war era. By 2019, it had grown into a predominantly African-American, working and middle-class town with a strong sense of community. In June 2019, it faced moderate crime levels, with violent crimes, especially aggravated assaults, being a notable concern. While some areas were more troubled than others, many residents still described it as a safe and welcoming place if you knew where to avoid. However, Cressida's nightmare unfolded right in her own home. Born in 1997, Cressida Williams spent most of her life in Willingboro, New Jersey, where her family resides. She was a bright and happy young girl with many loving friends around her. She was also deeply family-oriented and spent a lot of time with her grandmother, whose house she lived in as she started her journey into adulthood. Cressida, who is popularly known as Chrissy, was on a path to make something of herself. But like every young person, she was open to exploring love and building the connection that would last a lifetime. It was this desire that led her into the arms of a terrible nightmare. She fell in love with Terrence J. Matthews, a young man who swept her off her feet and had enchanted her. Theirs was a young love that burned fast and hot. It blossomed quickly and left Cressida wanting more. They quickly got so serious that Cressida took an important step with him. 23-year-old Terrence Matthews was a native to Willingboro, as she was. He was rougher around the edges and more comfortable with street activity, but none of this bothered Cressida. After all, diamonds are in the rough. Little did she know that this was one rough diamond that could cut a person fatally. She introduced him to her family, and they got so comfortable that Terrence would sometimes stay in her grandmother's house, where Cressida and her younger brother lived with her grandmother. Everything was going perfectly well until Cressida realized that she was slowly being poisoned. Terrence's affections came with a side of control and manipulation that slowly engulfed her until she started to see the warning signs. Cressida realized too late that he was a dangerous man to be with. Terrence had a long, troublesome history with the law that only seemed to get longer and longer. By the time they were together, he already had previous run-ins with the law that suggested a pattern of violent behavior. One of the earliest incidents on record occurred in August 2014 in Edgewater Park, New Jersey. He was arrested that summer on multiple charges, including robbery, theft of property, and aggravated assault. The charges all stemmed from a single incident with a victim who could not defend herself against a dangerous man in his youth. According to police reports, a 56-year-old woman was walking. When Terrence approached her to ask for directions, she did the civil thing and pointed him in the right direction, and he walked away. However, shortly after, Terrence walked back, this time with a much different intention. After initially walking away, he returned and grabbed her purse. When the woman resisted, he got enraged and allegedly struck her in the face several times before fleeing the scene. The woman sustained facial injuries, and the case drew local attention due to its sudden violence. It was a purse-snatching incident that drastically escalated from theft to assault, leaving residents questioning their safety. The police quickly tracked him down and arrested him, although behind bars, it was not long before he was on the streets again. For investigators, this incident was a troubling sign, one that suggested Terrence's potential for more serious harm, and years later, that potential would no longer be a possibility, but a reality. For Cressida, on the other hand, this meant another chance to love him right. Cressida clung to the belief that she could be his anchor. She thought her love could restore what humanity he seemed to be lacking, but in trying to hold him together, she began to endanger herself. Friends recall intense fights and sessions that could even lead to violent outbursts from Terrence, leaving Cressida in fear for her safety. It was not long before Cressida knew what she had to do to protect herself. Cressida chose to end things with Terrence for her own safety and protection. She chose to be free over being the one who would be loyal to her abuser. This was a significantly brave decision to take that should have rid her of his influence. But with the events that followed, it was clear Terrence was not out of her life just yet. Despite their breakup, Terrence and Cressida still spent time together. This time extended into him staying in her family's house, not just as a visitor, but also as a place of his own. This meant that he was there even when she was not, and it began to feel like his place as much as it was hers. This level of comfort amongst exes was a concern, especially with a man like Terrence, considering the reasons they broke up. Cressida had let this unconventional situation continue because she was very aware of the type of person Terrence was, and she feared the depths of his violence. They continued to live together alongside Cressida's 68-year-old grandmother, Jennifer Vassell, and her younger brother, 9-year-old Ishan Mathlin. The inhabitants of the house walked on eggshells around him, scared of setting him off, considering his violent and unstable nature. And it was not long before this fear became their horrifying reality. The morning of the 19th of June 2019 started out very normally. Cressida went out to work just as she did every morning, not suspecting that the day would end as a living nightmare she would never forget. It went downhill with an upsetting call from home. While at work, she received a call from Terrence. He was mad and yelling, equally triggering her and leaving her fuming. They exchanged words and curses, each person getting angrier by the second. The details of this conversation remain a mystery to date, but one thing was certain. By the end of that call, Terrence had gone over the edge. Enraged and unable to reach Cressida at the moment, he decided to hurt her where she would least expect it. Terrence J. Matthews went for her family. He attacked her grandmother first. The 68-year-old Jennifer Vassell stood no chance against the unstable wrath of Terrence. He stabbed her multiple times until she collapsed and quickly bled out from her injuries. Although Jennifer's life bled away on the floor, Terrence had some more anger left over that he decided to channel elsewhere. But there was only one family member left, Cressida's little brother. Terrence lunged at the 9-year-old boy, stabbing him multiple times, yelling at him to die. However, unlike with his grandmother, Ishan Mathlin clung to life. He was a brave fighter who refused to give up so easily. However, this resistance only pushed Terrence to more cruelty. He dragged the little boy to the bathroom. In there, he filled the bathtub up and then pushed Ishan under the water. Terrence didn't let up until he was sure that there was no life and fight left in the little child. After his brutal and deadly rampage, Terrence J. Matthews had taken the lives of Jennifer Vassell and Ishan Mathlin. Then, with blood still on his hands, he simply stepped outside and waited. He waited for Cressida to come home, unaware that her nightmare was already in motion. A couple of hours later, when Cressida returned home that night, Terrence was already waiting, and what happened next would haunt her forever. Terrence emerged from a blue Ford Focus, grabbed her and forced her inside the house. Cressida did not need to enter the house before she knew that something was terribly wrong. He dragged her inside. Terrence took Cressida straight to the utility room. There, she saw her grandmother's lifeless body lying on the floor. Terrence didn't try to hide it. In fact, he wanted her to see everything, and he was eager to show her more. Terrence took her to Ishan and told her how he had stabbed Ishan, then filled the bathtub and drowned him. When Cressida asked him why he showed him such evil, Terrence simply said he was frustrated because Ashawn did not die quickly. Cressida was too stunned to speak, but the nightmare wasn't over. Terrence wasn't done yet. Terrence chose to keep Cressida captive through the night. He had 2 pocket knives, one of which he used to poke and threaten her. He was also incredibly high after smoking what appeared to be K2. This suddenly explained a lot of his violence and instability. K2, also known as synthetic marijuana or spice, is a lab-made drug designed to mimic THC, but with a twist. It is far more dangerous because it is sprayed with unpredictable chemicals. K2 can trigger paranoia, hallucinations, and violent behavior. Once it takes hold, the effects can be terrifying and out of control, much like Cressida's nightmare. Every hour she spent inside that house, the danger felt more real. By morning, Terrence took her to a Dunkin' on Springside Road. After that, he took her to a friend's house in Willingboro and then to the Wawa store. This was where everything took a turn. Tired of being dragged around, Cressida made up her mind to break free. She was acutely watchful from the moment she stepped in, counting the seconds until her freedom. With her sheer will and timing, Cressida managed to slip away and started to raise an alarm. She whispered to a Wawa employee that Terrence had kidnapped her and also killed her family. She confessed that she feared she would be next and begged them to call the police. Terrence soon caught on and immediately attacked. He chased Cressida around the store, intent on killing her with a knife. Bystanders were struck with fear and immediately called the police. Upon hearing that the police were on their way, Terrence instantly had to choose between self-preservation and catching his prey. He chose himself. Terrence fled the scene and went on the run. Willingboro police immediately rushed to the house on Eastbrook Lane for a wellness check. While they headed to the crime scene, Terrence decided not to be as hidden as he should be. He went on Facebook Live and went on a long rant. He claimed that he loved Cressida and that nothing could come between him and her. Although he apologized for everything he had done to her, he showed a clear lack of remorse, especially with the heartless confession he made after.
You feel me? I'm trying to tell people, calling up for help. I think, you feel me? Nobody was really listening. Like, they want rather send me off instead of me having somebody to talk to, the ones I really want to be around. I want to be around strangers, you feel me? Like, people might say, like, damn, this good, like, why you just do all that? I don't know, bro. It's like, love, bro. Love, I did it. For real, man. Like, but, Chrissy, bro, I love you. Always and forever. 828. I promise. I promise you. Nothing ever in this world will come between me. Like, I really love you. I really love you. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I ever did to you and your mom. I'm sorry. I hope this was a lesson to you, bro. Like, make sure the next one just steer straight. Just don't wild out. You feel me? I love you, though. These whole damn loyal. No, I really do love you, though. I got my love for you. But, Brienne, you lucky, because I was going to kill you. Like, you know, like the last 5 days, I was going to kill you. Look, I just kept letting you live because I've been chilling with Chrissy and, like, she be talking to you, you feel me? I'm going to kill you and your girlfriend for real, for real. But, like, you lived. You alright right now. What else? Yeah. I do a lot of that a lot of people get blamed for. Like, you feel me? But I know a lot of people. Gonna be like, damn. I mean, a lot of people be like, swear they know every story. Now, but this particular situation, look, I'm about to tell you about. Everybody had like a million different stories. I done heard the same shit. I swear to God, should be cappers. Like, straight claiming that shit. They know they ain't do it, you feel me? It's really not like that. Like, they really not like that, like, at all. They really not like that, bro. They ain't like that. But, you feel me? But yeah, like I was saying, like, saying about that Vel situation, I killed Vel Chopper. I clapped that, like, you feel me? 181 Millbrook Drive, like, Like, think about where you get clapped up 181. Real big job, motherfucker. That's where I grew up at. Like, a lot of like really trying to claim that shit. Like, you feel me? Shout out to all the brothers though. You know, they, you feel me? They kind of doing anything, but nobody else did that shit. I did that shit. I clapped that. I ran out of bullets, and then the other gun jammed. That's why I finesse led. It's like, he talking like a bitch though. I don't know what type of tough shit he done told. I heard he was telling me, like, mad tough shit, you feel me? That nigga was straight bitch. He was not tough at all. You feel me? But Chrissy, I love you with all my heart, to my family, to my brother.
Terrence mentioned a man called Brandon. He claimed that he would have killed him, only his bullets had not run out. So instead, he pistol-whipped Brandon. He then went on to taunt the victim, saying that he had heard Brandon claim to be tough. Terrence, with a cynical laugh, called him a wimp. All this was live, without a care for consequence. Such heartlessness scarred the many who tuned in and only solidified what the police were about to find. At the home on Eastbrook Lane, what the police found inside confirmed Cressida's words. Her grandmother, Jennifer Vassell, and her younger brother, Eshawn Mathlin, were both dead. And if there was any doubt about who their prime suspect was, another confession pinned him down. Terrence's mother later confirmed that around 1:15 p.m. that day, she received a phone call from her son. During the call, he admitted to killing Grandma and IJ. There was no question anymore. He was responsible for it all. With all this evidence laid out, the police moved fast. Hours later, he was spotted behind the wheel of a silver Scion, and what followed wasn't just a pursuit, it was a full descent into chaos. As patrol units moved in, Terrence launched into a reckless high-speed chase across South Jersey. He sped through intersections, ignored traffic signals, and weaved through cars with terrifying precision. With the police hot on his tail, Terrence pulled a move that left the nation in awe at his mental state and lack of humanity. Terrence pulled out his phone and began live streaming the entire chase on his Facebook account. With one hand on the wheel and the other holding the camera, he ranted, taunted police, and broadcast his breakdown in real time. Terrence was proud of the chase. He spoke about how the police were hot on him and he was taking them for a ride. He recorded this in his underwear, showing thousands of viewers his declining mental state as he drove farther. Police from multiple departments coordinated efforts to bring him down, chasing him through several townships. Towards the end of the profanity-laced 87-second video, you can see him slowly give up. He told the people that he loved them and then released his seatbelt, ready for the end.
Seatbelt off. I love y'all.
It all ended in Camden at around 2 p.m. Terrence lost control of the Scion and crashed into a utility pole, the front of the car folding on impact. According to witnesses, he ran down the street as officers closed in. He reportedly assaulted one of the officers before fleeing into a neighbor's yard, where police finally used a taser twice to subdue him. Following his arrest, Terrence was taken to a medical facility for evaluation, then transferred to the Burlington County Jail. In the days following the tragedy, the Willingboro community mourned in shock. Family and neighbors mourned the loss of Jennifer Vassell and Eshawn Mathlin, describing them as kind, quiet, and deeply loved.
It's very quiet around here. I usually canvass the neighborhood for different reasons, but I've never seen anything that would cause question.
Everyone now looked to the police for answers, and they were already on it. The police opened an interrogation to answer the questions that were on everyone's minds. Why did he do what he did? Who was Brandon? Did he feel no remorse? While in interrogation, he confessed to the murders of Jennifer Vassell and Eshawn Mathlin without giving a solid reason or motive. Police could only confirm that it was fueled by the argument he had with Cressida earlier that day. But there was still one mystery to be unraveled. As they dug deeper, Terrence explained his confession of assault on Brandon. Terrence went into more details that would close an earlier investigation of a crime that had since stalled. Late on February 18, 2019, just before 1 a.m., police responded to shots fired on 100 Millbrook Drive in Willingboro. Terrence had approached a parked vehicle where 21-year-old Devell Williamson was sitting with a friend, Brandon Clark, and suddenly opened fire. By the time police arrived, Williamson was barely breathing and was later pronounced dead at Lord Medical Center. Brandon, however, sustained a gunshot wound to the arm but survived. Brandon claimed he did not know his attacker, but the police already had crucial evidence that would lead them to Terrence. After recovering an iPhone and some money on the scene, forensic evidence disclosed that the dollar bills were counterfeit. Investigations also traced chats on the phone, which showed conversations about various drug deals that led up to the murder. This was a drug deal gone bad, but there was still a missing third party. Over the next couple of days, investigations led the cops to Terrence, who was taken in for questioning. They went through his phone and his social media, where they found a picture of one of the counterfeit bills found at the scene. Terrence, however, denied the entire thing, and due to a lack of solid evidence, the cops had to let him go. But fate had delivered Terrence to the hands of justice at least, and he was going to face the consequences of taking 3 lives. Terrence was charged with 2 counts of murder, kidnapping, unlawful possession of a weapon, and related offenses. A court date was set, but for the families affected, justice was just beginning its long road forward. Following a lengthy trial that witnessed so much heartache and tears, Terrence pleaded guilty to the 3 murders under a plea deal. On July 22, 2022, Terrence J. Matthews, who was 26 at the time, was sentenced to 60 years in state prison for each homicide, and the sentences will run concurrently with a possibility of parole only after 85% of his sentence is completed. Even as relief swept through the family and the community, many still felt grief. Online, people still struggled to understand how such violence had unfolded so close to home. For Cressida and the rest of her family, the grief is still immeasurable. But now, they can find comfort in the fact that Terrence is paying for his crimes. May the souls of Jennifer Vassell and Ashawn Mathlin rest in perfect peace. Let me know what you think of this case in the comments section below.